Farron, when does your show start this week?
What did we say? The 17th?
The 17th. That's what we said.
Yeah, we are going to be dropping the Affiliate Hot Seat series. Number one, I'm not answering your questions unless you subscribe to the show. But number two, if you are interested, reach out to us. We'll have kind of the formal submission process for coming on the show, and we'll help you out with your box.
We got Denise Thomas. You are CFL4. Is this your lane? Is this your area of expertise?
If I had to pick something, I would say this would be up there.
I would say, A, you're good at all the things. B, I would say it's one of the things that you're maybe over the top passionate about coach development, which is not a bad thing. And then right second behind that would probably be lesson plans.
Actually, last week I didn't write one for one of my classes, and it was one of the better classes I'd run in a while because I just kind of free flowed. But I just got away with it.
When's the time and a place to not write a lesson
plan?
Well,
number one, I think you should be able to do both really effectively. I think you should be able to walk in blind and do it on the fly. And I think you should be able to sit down and write a very thorough lesson plan that then you could go out and execute as written.
To me, it felt freeing, and I didn't really have a time to think about that in too much detail. So I just used my knowledge. I just taught to that and used the progression that I knew would get that result.
If you've gotten enough reps in, there does potentially become a point of diminishing return with regard to the amount of time you put into a lesson plan once you have a specific skill set. I don't really write lesson plans anymore. Now I can write one and I can execute one. I feel like I focus less on the participants in the class. Potentially you run the risk of lack of connection. That's not an argument for not writing lesson plans. I'm just saying
Jay,
I do believe there's a certain skill set.
So this is my plan. Yeah. I've got a fancy iPad now, right?
Wow.
Oh God.
Is that a
schematic?
That's like an artwork. I want to hang that on my wall.
This is no way to make friends because you've just made the entire internet feel like a bunch of schlubs. It is only as valuable as your ability to implement it and get people to move better inside of the stimulant. Am I getting lazy, or am I just doing less because I have gotten to the point where I understand that less is more? That doesn't mean you coach less, right? It just means like the volume of things you need to do inside the hour needs to be reduced pretty drastically. If you're crushing it, I'm like we can have the discussion and I give you some feedback and it's like, hey, change this, change that. Does that require a lesson plan? Arguably, no. You didn't write a lesson plan for that class. And it's just like, is that a bad class? No. If I asked you to write one, you'd give me one, and you'd give me one in very short order, and it would be very well written and it would be realistic.
I didn't not have a plan. I just didn't write it down. The difficulty describes the need. For me, I wrote them because I needed them. I needed to know what I was going to do, and I needed to be able to take care of people.
The things that you include in your lesson plan will morph over time. If I don't think about it, the logistics becomes the real hang up.
Is it okay to have the same warm-up each day if it is effective?
You have to ask, well, what do you mean by effective? Well, what are the cons of running something every day? And what are the benefits? And the benefits are consistency, there's reliability, there's a trust, hoping they're hitting all the macro joints and movements and getting the heart rate up. And if people are happy and they're coming back, then great. However, I think there's even more, if not more, cons in. It could be a missed opportunity for exposure to other things. It could get boring. It could not actually warm you up enough for what you're about to do in the specifics. I don't like to give a black and white answer, but I do think you have to ask yourself, why would you do it? And what's stopping you from changing it?
What are the fun ways to warm up a class that aren't traditional?
There's games, right, which should come with a black label warning, because adults should not be sprinting first thing. Anyway,
that's why I'm just like,
it's
games give me like the games get me a little cringy.
Get them on the bike, right? We said get them on a bike, and they start at dampener 1 seated, and then they go to dampener 0, and then they go to dampener 2, dampener 4, dampener 6, dampener 8, dampener 10. They go all the way up, and they have to stay seated, and it's just like 20 seconds a pop, and then you can stand them up and sit them down, and there's just ways to tweak the traditional things that we do. Putting on even a rep scheme like a 2159 of an overhead squat and a PVC press. They don't need to be silly, but you can have some different ways of doing the traditional things, but with a different seasoning.
Do you account for late athletes in your lesson plan?
Oh yeah, always, but not in the way you would think. We try to just have something ready to go when they come in, so that they can quickly do it by themselves, so they're not just jumping in and hopping on a barbell. at Reebok, at least, they were coming from meetings that were ending like at the time class was starting. First, we had a chip on our shoulder about it, and then we recognized they were like hauling to get down there, and we just made sure we accounted for it by taking care of them, having something ready to go.
Could you talk about how you determine rep schemes for general or specific warm-up? Sometimes it's a whole workout if you're doing 2159 in a warm-up, or so many reps with the specific warm-up.
Again, it always depends. But for the general warm-up, I like to give them like on this clock, this is what we're going to do. Because what you don't want is to have, all right, we're going to do 10 calorie on the bike, 8 calorie on the bike, but you've got some people that are a little slower and they just spend their whole time on the bike. The rep scheme is less important. It's more the speed at which they're doing it.
The gymnastics throws people for a loop when they're warming people up and going. It's like specifically like something like a specific warm up.
Well, first of all, I think, and I don't know, you tell me, Jay, you're the affiliate owner, but I would invest in a bunch of kiddie bars.
We're all affiliate owners, for the record.
I'm the only real affiliate owner.
You're the one that has members.
Just like Denise is the only real level 4 on this call. That legitimately might be the most undervalued piece of equipment on Rogue's website.
The kiddie bars, I would have like 20 of them. Just that foot assisted kip swing is magical. They are invaluable. They can be used for so many things, helping with assistance on pistols, inverted rows, push-ups. What can I sell so I could get kiddie bars?
Other than stretching or flexibility work, what are some good things to include in a cool down? Start that clock.
Skill work, challenges, little swole sesh, some accessory work, refinement and education. I don't think that's done enough. It's like, hey, well, we're doing this thing. Let's talk about how much sugar we should be consuming a day, and then go away later and have a look. But the refinement is underutilized, and I think it's a really fun time to just have community. And
skill work, first thing when fresh or after the workout?
Yes,
that's the answer I was going to give.
What is the benefit of recording scores on the whiteboard?
Community, accountability, and friendly competition. It's going to give me an indication of what I should do. We take pride in what we do. We work hard for those reps, and it's tradition to CrossFit that we hold ourselves accountable. I also like the apps because it's easier for logging and tracking.
Should members of your affiliate wait to put equipment away until everyone is done with the workout?
Yes, they should wait. However, if the coach is screwing the timeline and these people, and they are telling you, I will be done on time, they should be putting their equipment away and getting out before the hour. And that's because they're forced to, because we didn't do our job.
I think the coach should have to eat that labor. If people got to go, see ya. I'll put your stuff away. That is essentially your punishment for running a really awful timeline.
Preset scales versus scaling for the individual.
It depends on how long is the workout, what's the complexity, how many athletes do you have in class, what's the equipment that's out there. If you've got 20 people, mixed abilities, boxers, bands, all these things, I'm a big fan of these are your only options today. If these absolutely do not work for you, come see me.
After asking for injuries, what is the best way to address the athlete about modifications to be made?
If you have an injury or a limitation and you need a different modification, come grab me right now. I don't ask anyone to raise their hand and say, I have this, this, and that, but I'm going to make sure that they come find me, or I'm going to be looking for it in the warm-up. Are they grabbing their arm or their hip? And I'm like, what's going on?
Anything in between, like, call it 5 to 25 minutes. What's your acceptable deviation on fast to slowest as far as like scores?
When you're getting on that longer end of a workout, you are going to have really fit people that can do it in 17 minutes. Let's say 25 minutes is the top at 17 minutes. I think it's acceptable for your intermediate athletes to be in a struggle bus a little bit and push close to that 25. And I'm not worried about everybody else. So I'm not worried about people that, because they'll all finish in between.
Just for the record, this was a multiple choice and you turned it into an essay.
This reminds me of the story, a dog that lost its...
I look at it and I'm like, 4 to 5 minute deviation is what I want to see. Anything more than that, I feel like I probably could have dialed them in a little bit tighter.
Essentially what DT said.
And we'll end this with a James Hobart quote. Everybody messes up a timeline. The question is, do you know why? And you can only know why if you have a lesson.